Hi everyone, hope you're all well. Um, yeah, I don't know why, but I haven't felt that well the last couple of days, so just think the heat and everything's just kind of got to me with the heat in the UK. But yeah, hope you're all well. So I just wanted to give a bit of an update about Pete's health. Sorry, I've had a bit of a headache, so let me just take my glasses off. So basically, we were told in November last year that the EF fraction had improved to, so it had gone from 20% up to 45%. And we were just like literally over the moon. We couldn't believe it. And he was even told by the cardiology team that once it would hit 50, he would be signed off the heart failure clinic. So we were just like, yes, this is like a really good step in the right direction. The medication's obviously working that they put him on. So yeah, it was really, really good news. And then what happened, they just wanted to send him, so there was a bit of discussion about what the next steps would be, possibly an ICD to be fitted into his chest area, because obviously he has like is it AF, atrial fibrillation? I think that's how you pronounce it. So his heart basically, it doesn't skip a beat, but it's something to do with the heartbeat. Sorry, I'm not very good with all the technical terms and the words, and I tend to forget things as well, which doesn't help. But yeah, they were thinking, at first they thought pacemaker, then they decided not about that, but maybe like an ICD to be fitted. So what they done was they sent him for an MRI scan. But the problem was the last MRI scan he had, I think it was the middle of last year, was in Hammersmith Hospital. And this time it was at St Thomas's in London. So obviously we had to get the train to Waterloo and then you walk from there. It's roughly about a 20-minute walk. So yeah, we went there. The appointment, it says it's roughly about an hour and a half, but it just felt like he was in there for ages. And we actually got up to the floor where we were supposed to be, and there was no signs up, and both doors were locked, and we were just thinking, well, how is he supposed to get into these rooms? So it was really weird because then we did notice a sign, but it was at the other end of the corridor. It was very strange, that said, you had to pick up an internal phone and then someone would come and get you, basically. So yeah, so I took a book with me to read whilst I was waiting, and yeah, so just prepped him all for the MRI scan, and we were just waiting for him to be called in. Then obviously I was sat outside because more people were due in for their appointments, and it just seemed like he was in there for absolutely ages. And I was thinking, like, wow, this is like a really long appointment. And after he had it done, he said, I just don't feel like they could get a reading, and they were really like getting him to hold his breath for such a long time, which obviously you are supposed to do, but he just said like at one point he thought he was going to pass out because it was like no one was talking to him at one point whilst he was holding his breath. So, and he just felt himself that it wasn't, either they couldn't see anything or they didn't really know what they were looking at. So he wasn't really happy when he come out of there, and obviously he felt a bit sick. So we we was actually going to pop into the Marks and Spencers in there, but we had a look at the sandwiches and they didn't look that great. And funny enough, we spotted a KFC. So we had some like chicken gourjon things to eat, and that was actually really nice. It was the most hottest KFC which is opposite the train station, that we've had in a while. So normally when you order it from around this area, it's like stone cold. Anyway, sorry, I'm kind of going on here. And yeah, so Pete went for his next cardiology appointment, and he got told that the other side, the EF fraction has gone to 35%. No, beg your pardon, 27%. And we're just like, what the hell is going on? Because that side, there was nothing wrong with it. It was only, I can't remember which side it was now, but it just didn't make no sense to us at all. And Pete was like, well, look, you sure they've done this properly, etc., etc. And they were like, yeah, we've looked at the images. And they're not going to pay out for it to be done again. I think, to be honest, with the journey down on the train, it actually made Pete feel a bit sick as well, which didn't help. And he felt really sick when we come out of there, because the dye just obviously just makes you feel like that. But at the same time, where we get off when we come home, it's about another 15 to possibly 20-minute walk to where we live, so you can imagine it. So yeah, and then when we got off the train, the toilets were out of order, so obviously he needed to go to the loo, which wasn't helpful. So where we kind of like frog marched it, if you like, back to where we live. Anyway, fast forward, he had a meeting with a Dr. Valley from Harefield Hospital that came to West Middlesex Hospital. He's basically one of the best heart surgeons in the country, and went through options. Basically, in order for them to do an ICD, he said obviously Peter would have to lose weight, and he'd probably have to go on jabs to lose the weight, because you've got to be under a certain weight in order for them to operate on you. He felt that it wasn't really viable to do the operation. There was like two options basically, and that was going to be relayed back to the cardiology team. Fast forward, Pete went for his cardiology team a week later, spoke to the heart failure nurse, and she was speaking to Pete, and Pete was like, did you actually read the letter that he sent through? And she was like, oh no, sorry, I haven't had a chance yet. Okay, so you're seeing a patient, but you've not actually read the letter that was sent to you. Not really professional. And we've had this before as well, so it's just like, oh my, it's just like, what the hell is going on? So anyway, then they said, oh, we're going to refer this to another doctor just to get his opinion. And then Pete was like, well, you told me that Dr. Vasley was the best in the country, so now why are you referring it to a Dr. Wang? And she was like, oh, it's just best to get another opinion. So yeah, I mean, it was just all over the place. Pete weren't impressed, and was told that, so he had his appointment, I'd say 2 weeks ago now, possibly 3, and was told that he would get a call back in a week's time with their decision on what they think, because basically what she said to Pete was there's nothing more they can do for him, apart from obviously, doing this option of the ICD. There's someone at Pete's job that had an operation where they go in through the leg and then go up to the heart, and they can burn, basically not the heart but the bit, I can't say the words properly, I do beg your pardon, but they can burn the bad bits, I'm just going to say it that way. But obviously it comes with risks, because your heart could be nicked and you could bleed out on the table. So yeah, it took him a while to recover, but he actually feels fine. So yeah, it's one of them really. Pete doesn't really, to be honest, Pete would rather no procedure, because he doesn't want to, be put under or anything, because he doesn't like that. He likes to stay awake for things. He doesn't mind if he gets numbed, obviously, but he'd rather be awake. And yeah, the cardiology team have not called him back. So that's where we are. And Pete basically said to me he's fed up with chasing the doctors. They're supposed to be calling you, they're supposed to be going through things. So yeah, that's where we're up to. Sorry I haven't got all the terminology right in my head. But maybe you know people with heart failure, so you'll sort of know what I'm going on about. Well, hopefully you will. So yeah, that's where we're up to. And first, I'd say a couple of days, I was just sort of like really worried, thinking, like, we just sort of don't know how it's going to be. Luckily enough, like, he's not retaining water, which is good, so that's a good thing. So obviously we're keeping an eye on the legs, because they're the first thing that will blow up. He is, however, getting quite tired. He's still at work. He does a manual job. He does 4 on 4 off days only. He'd like to go to 3 days, but don't know if, well, he said obviously he doesn't know if he can afford it, and with heart failure they don't give you any sort of help, and in respect of, benefit wise, not that he wants that, because he's always worked. And yes, you don't really get any help as such when it become, in regards to a health issue. And I know on Pumping Marvellous Facebook page, there's so many that could actually benefit from just really, like, even if it's like just a couple of months rest or something. But unfortunately, there's no help out there for heart failure in that respect. And yeah, he's obviously been getting a bit tired, and he still keeps going though. He doesn't stop. That's just the way he is. And notice that when obviously we are taking the dog for a walk, he is getting a bit breathless. So I've noticed that the last 2 weeks, but also the heat doesn't help as well. And yeah, he nearly collapsed at work, because basically they haven't put air conditioning in the warehouse. They've got it in the offices, which then pump into the warehouse. You can't have the doors open due to security reasons. So yesterday it was 40 degrees inside the warehouse, and that's why today I said, right, if it gets too hot again, you go and you sit in the tea room, which is air conditioned. And if they say anything tough, at the end of the day, you have got condition, they know about it. It's the same for everybody else, that's got health issues. You can't expect people to work in that heat with no air conditioning. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So yeah, so that is the update on Peter's health, and I will, obviously, once we know what's going to happen or what the next steps are, I will do another update on here. But yeah, it is, I think now we've just got so used to it, whereas like we try not to worry. But obviously it is always there in the back of your mind, you know, basically, I know you shouldn't think that way and you should think positive, but it is always there that just don't know if Pete would be able to get this back up again. So, without having an operation. So yeah, it's just one of them. Oh, sorry, that's it. The heart transplant. I was thinking about heart transplant, but yeah, that was out of the question. So yeah, that is the update. So yeah, it is a bit of a bad news, but we will keep going. We'll keep trying to think positive, because that's what you need to do. And as I say, I'll give another update as and when we see what happens. But yeah, I hope you all have a lovely rest of the weekend. Thank you for listening. Bye bye.